Yearbook.
We're live! Okay. I don't know how quick people will start showing up, but so I might. Oh God, I'm listening to it somewhere else. Shush. Okay. So this is the live show for Your Welcome Universe by Whitney Gardner. This is the Sassy Book Club Book of the Month for April 2018. In May, we're going to be reading Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. And the live show for that is going to be June 3rd at 3 p.m. PST, I think. But you can follow us on Twitter at Sassy_Book Club for regular updates on everything like that. And you can also follow us on Goodreads. Today, I have Wolfie from your YouTube channel. What is it?
Silly Little Ravenclaw.
What is it?
Silly Little Ravenclaw.
Silly Little Ravenclaw. And I have Jess from
Jess Reads Books.
Thank you. I was telling Momo and Sierra, who was in this live show, and I was like, I know their names, but I can't remember exactly how their YouTube channel go.
I'm like that with everybody's YouTube channels.
Yeah, like it's just a little bit, and the Twitters don't always match and everything like that. So we're going to start out with spoiler-free thoughts and opinions, and then we will warn before we get into spoilers for this. But yeah, so I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I thought the representation of death culture and everything felt really well done. My biggest complaint was just that some of the drama felt stupid and petty and annoying, but that's my problem with most YA contemporary these days. I'm starting to grow out of it, and that's a personal thing, not an everyone thing. What about you guys?
I really liked the representation in it too. I also liked that she had 2 moms. Yes. I thought it was done really well. I think that I'm the same for you, though. I didn't really like Julia so much. I think that's the problem that I had. I did not think that she was a likable character. Like, I feel like as somebody who could be judged in so many ways, like the girl that she tries to become friends with, like she never really learns her name or calls her by her name, and she just does certain things throughout the book that I'm just like, I feel like you should have acted differently. So I didn't really connect to her at all. Yeah,
that makes sense. What about you, Wolfie?
I liked the death rep in it. I think that's probably one of the most well done I've seen, but I didn't like Julia at all. Yeah. So I kind of struggled through that.
Yeah, I basically felt the same way. I thought Julia. I liked YP. What is her actual name? Yeah, but I can't remember what her actual name is.
I can't either. That's the thing. I was like, what's her real name? I don't remember. Yeah. She called her yoga pants.
Yeah, I liked her way more than I liked Julia. For those of you watching, you can join in and talk to us in the chat right under this. I think it's on the right side of your screen, and we are, or at least I'm looking at it. So if you have any questions or anything, you can ask us there. Yeah, I didn't really like Julia. I thought that she was so like
melodramatic.
Yeah, that's a good word.
She was.
That's a perfect word. It's just blah, blah, blah.
I kept saying while I was reading it the whole time that I understand like that she's super young, but I don't remember being that way at her age, and I don't think I knew anybody that was that way at her age. Like I don't know. She just did things that I was just like, why are you doing this? It really drove me nuts. But
yeah. I do know, I mean, I'm a substitute teacher, so like I have a lot of experience with like kids these days, which I feel so old saying that. But like, I mean, there are kids who are that melodramatic for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they exist out there. It was never me, and definitely it's not me now, so I was just like squinty eyes a lot.
That's how I felt the whole time I was reading it. I was just like, are people really like this now? Is this how it is to be this age now? The whole time.
It kind of is sometimes a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, based on what my experience is with these childrens these days.
Yeah.
Okay. My question that I have is the art. Let's just talk about the art on this non-spoilery section.
I really liked all the art in it. I thought that was really cool. I liked a lot of the things about the way it was written, like the text message stuff that they do so Julia's able to speak to people more easily. And I liked the art in it. I thought that was really, really cool. I like stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Wolfie?
I actually flipped through it at the bookstore when I was buying it, and I didn't know it was in there. So I'm like, oh, I definitely want this book even more now.
Yeah, I know. I really want to buy it. Yeah, I loved the art. I actually was going to listen to it at first. I was planning on picking it up on audiobook, and then I think it was actually you, Wolfie, but it might have been somebody else who was like, "No, there's art in it. You need to read it." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I will." Yeah, I love, especially. Oh, I was just showing it to Jess. Which one is it?
The girl, is it that one?
The whale one. I like the girl one too. Where the heck is it?
Is it one of the ones towards the beginning?
I think. Oh, okay. Well, I'll show the girl one. That one was cool too. But like, amazing. And apparently the author did all of the illustrations. We were just looking that up. And I think that's amazing.
I think it's really cool that she brought in not only just her art, but her knowledge of art too into it. Like life things, like you were saying, she learned ASL and then, like brought in her art at the same time. I feel like it's really
cool. It felt very much like a personal, personal like story. Like it felt very connected to the author, which was cool.
I wonder if she sees things in Julia that she like saw in herself, or like sees in people, or you know what I mean? Like if it was inspired by something, because I feel like everything else was. I wonder if Julia was too.
Yeah. Maybe then I would hate Julia a little bit less.
Yeah, I didn't. I liked her. I liked her. It was closer to like 3.5, almost 4, but because I hated Julia so much, it brought it down to 3. But I liked everything.
Yeah. What was your guys' favorite character?
Yoga pants.
Okay. What about you? Yeah, I really liked the teacher.
Oh yeah.
The art teacher.
What's his name?
I don't know, but she called him plaid shirt or something like that.
Yeah, it was plaid shirt and yoga pants. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, I really liked him too. Like there was the very early on when we meet him, she like says something about how he was the first one at the high school to not look at Casey, the interpreter.
Yeah.
Without, that he spoke directly to her instead of like not knowing who to speak to. And I was like, oh, that makes me like you.
All the little things that he does for her throughout the book.
Yes.
I really like that too. Like trying to include her as much as possible. Like he has music, but she obviously can't hear it, so he like tries to include her in other ways. I really like that too. I think I liked him a lot because he reminds me of my middle school art teacher a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He felt like he reminded me of my English high school teacher who was just like this like chill, kind of a mess like all the time. He was so cute. He was older than his wife, and he would always talk about how his wife, he was like, my wife is so beautiful, and she like they were having a baby the year that I had him for junior English, and so he was always talking about how like she was feeling that week, like all this stuff. And then he would just talk about like how lucky he was to have met her and like blah blah blah. And he was like, it's weird though, because I'm glad I didn't meet her before the time that I met her, because when you think about it, she was in kindergarten when I was in high school or something like that. And I was like, but that's my age difference between my fiance too. So like now looking back at those stories, I'm like, oh, I feel the same feelings. Yeah. Yeah. That's how plaid shirt reminded me of.
I like that. It felt very like, most of it felt, even though she was like, I didn't identify with her, like obviously I don't have 2 moms and I'm not deaf, but the rest of the story, it was kind of relatable. It was like really easy to imagine like being there.
Mm-hmm. It was very
really is awful.
Yeah. Oh, we need to talk about that later in spoilers.
Yeah.
She felt very relatable to like anyone who's ever switched schools in the middle of the year or in the middle of the time that you are in one school for the most part, you know?
Yeah.
Like that I related to because I moved schools every single year until I was in 6th grade. So like younger than her, but it was always like
new.
Great, time to start again and know no one. And it was always a fun time.
I get to be the new kid again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think now would be a good time to switch over to spoilers. Yeah. If we, before we switch over to spoilers, one more time I'm going to say, Children of Blood and Bone, June Sassy Book Club live show will be June 3rd. Follow us on Twitter for the time because I don't remember what it is. And okay, so spoilers. I want to talk about the best friend first.
Yeah.
What is her name? Not YP, the other one.
I didn't remember because she like every time they reference her, I just like tried to drown her out as much as possible.
Jordan.
Julia and Jordan.
Jordan. How'd you guys feel about Jordan?
I thought she was a traitor. And I don't know how they were ever friends. Ever.
It was sad because I've experienced that type of friendship before where you don't realize that you're not best friends until you finally go through something. Like it was always about the other person. So like you're always like helping them and doing it for them and like getting them through something, and there's always a problem that you're helping them fix, and then you finally go through something really serious and then they're nowhere to be found and you're like, where the heck are you?
Or you're torn apart by a boy who was totally not worth it at all.
Yeah, like whether it's something, you know, family or a boy or whatever, it's just all of a sudden they're like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
We're not that close.
Like when she was going through her room and getting rid of everything that she'd left there, and it was like dumb things, and she's like, none of this even was a friendship at all. And I was like, yeah, that's like middle school, high school. That's what that was. Yeah, I didn't like her at all.
How did you guys feel, if you have anything to point out about it, about Jordan having a cochlear implant and dating hearing people? Did that I mean, coming from like knowing stuff about deaf culture, that was a really interesting point to me, but if you have nothing to add to it, that's fine.
I mean, I feel like it'd be hard for me to feel one way about it. One, I know nothing about deaf culture, but two, I feel like it would be up to the person. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, it would have to be like, even in the story, they kind of say like, it's a completely personal thing. Like, Julia even says, she's like, I don't judge her for having one, but then she talks about how she really tries to take on hearing culture, and people don't realize that it is really different, that it is two like complete like different culture kind of thing. And she doesn't, like she says, she's like, I'm not mad at her, but I wish she would pay more attention to those of us who don't have them and are still technically in like full deaf culture, as opposed to people who are trying to like assimilate into hearing and like dating a hearing boy. And she's always says, oh, she doesn't have any problems with being in the popular crowd and hanging out with people like normal. She's like, but she always forgets about me because I don't, like, people don't know as ASL and things all the time.
Right. Yeah. What about you, Wolfie? Do you have anything about it?
It bothers me when people who are deaf or hard of hearing act like they're not. So that's kind of what it felt like.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Because like I deal with the frustrations every day of people like, oh, you're hard of hearing. And I can't pretend like I'm not, and I wouldn't anyways, so it bothers me when other people do.
Do you mind if I ask if you wear hearing aids?
No, I don't.
You don't wear them? Oh, okay. Cool. Have you before?
Yes.
Sorry, if I get too personal, you can say I don't answer that.
No, it's weird and awkward for me, and like I can manage anyways, so it's just when you tell people, oh, yeah, you're hard of hearing, and then they decide to just start yelling in your face, like, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant at all. I just needed you to slow down, and they're like, oh, and they continue to do it. Just like that's not how that works.
Yeah. Do you know any ASL?
Basic.
Basic. Okay,
but
cool.
I was completely hearing until I was about 16, and then it started slowly going downhill. So I was completely hearing, and I went obviously to a hearing school, and then there was no help in my high school for it. So I kind of suffered through. So
yeah, that's rough. I mean, I feel like I'm destined to lose my hearing because I do have not great hearing now. So I feel like it can only get worse. So I'm like nervous for that, which is part of why I like took my first ASL class, was like, well, what if my hearing one day like goes complete crap? I want to be able to communicate and like have conversation with people who can. So that was like why I initially started it. And now I want to be an interpreter. So then that's like just like continued down the road. But yeah, I felt like the same thing with like, I was just frustrated that she wasn't, as a person who is deaf with a cochlear implant, when she was in a situation where there were mostly hearing people, she like ignored Julia, or like ignored the ASL and the like deaf part of the group. And I thought that was really weird. Although, I mean, she was teaching a boy that works at McDonald's with them. Can't remember his name, but
the boy.
The boy. She was teaching him ASL. So like, it was an interesting dynamic, because I was like, for somebody who was, you know, kind of trying to be hearing, it felt like sometimes she was still like bringing him in a little bit to the culture, which I thought was an interesting dynamic. It made her character more like human, more real than just like a 2D design.
Yeah.
Okay, so we could talk about the boy now. I don't remember his name.
I don't either. And then I was, what is he doing with Julia? Because he was like with whatever her name is, Jordan, but kept like talking to Julia, and I was like, okay, so you a hoe. And like I knew like when he started doing that, I was like, oh, she shouldn't be talking to him at all. And then I just love the way things ended with him. That was like my favorite.
Did you guys enjoy the part where she like purposefully made him cheat on Jordan with her and took pictures and everything?
No, I thought it was like, it's funny to, you know, like you watch really bad TV and you're like, this is funny, but you're like, this is also really deplorable. It was one of those things where I feel like if it had happened in real life, I'd be like, this is awful and terrible and you shouldn't do that. And also it felt kind of out of character for her too. Like I didn't necessarily like her, but her doing something like that, I felt like was too much. I felt like it was really harsh and mean. And I wouldn't do that to anybody that I don't necessarily like, especially somebody that, whether or not they considered me a friend, I wouldn't do that to somebody that I considered a friend.
Right. Right. Yeah. There's like a whole section of things that she does. Like she did that, and then she does something with the teacher. She's like really mean to him or something.
I know she steals.
Oh, she steals the paint.
Yeah.
And got caught and everything. And I was like, these decisions are like, something is up with you, because that's weird. And
she lies to her parents the whole time.
Yeah, that was sad.
Mom, she's just lying to her the whole time, and I'm like, tell her what's happening.
Yeah. I mean, like, I got why she was lying, because obviously they don't want to know that you're still doing something that's illegal.
Yeah.
But
even when she's like struggling, she doesn't tell them like that she's struggling and that she's not doing well. And like there was one point in the book where she's talking about she was in the basement and she was something happened and she's like screaming and she's like, obviously no one can hear me and I'm completely alone. And the whole time I'm like, if you walked upstairs and told your moms what was going on, it would be fine. Like,
but then again, that's like very teenagery.
Yeah, that was the only thing that I was like, this is very teenager.
Yeah, like it felt in character, because of course you don't talk to your parents. Who talks to their parents? I did, but like I was weird.
Yeah, so did I. I told my mom everything.
Yeah, I did.
The whole time I was like, but your mother loves you.
I had one big lie that my parents didn't find, that my parents are divorced, so it's my mom. My mom didn't find out that I lied to her about this one thing in high school until like years later after I graduated and everything. And it was that I went to a Blink-182 concert with my boyfriend instead of sleeping over at my friend's house.
Was she pissed?
No, it happened when I was in junior year, and I told her like 2 years after I graduated, and she was like talking about this thing that somebody did online, like saying that a good parenting strategy is that if it happened more than 2 years ago, then it shouldn't matter or something like that. Then you can't get angry. And I was like, let's try this out. Are you ready? And she was like, okay. And then I told her, and she was like, why didn't you tell me? And it was because we used my car to drive, but I was only 16. So my boyfriend drove my car because he was 18. He could drive people. But no one was allowed to drive my car except for me because kids and accidents, insurance and all those things. And she was like, at least you didn't drive and get in trouble. I'm like, thank you. See, I was smart. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about Casey, the interpreter.
Okay, I was like, which one was Casey?
The only reason I remember her name is because it was almost my name.
Yeah.
Casey. She was so annoying.
You thought she was annoying? I liked her.
She was too bubbly for me. And also, I thought it was weird that she started dating the art teacher.
I didn't like that. I thought that was inappropriate.
Yeah.
Like, I guess maybe not. I don't know, because I've never you work in a school, I assume, is that appropriate? I feel like that'd be inappropriate.
No, I guess, there are teachers who are married and stuff at the same schools, happens all the time. And I think really the reason that I found her annoying was because Julia is so angsty and negative, and then Casey is this over the top bubbly person. So then I was like, I have these two very edge of the spectrum, and I just want somebody who's normal.
Somebody in the middle.
Can we please get a normal human in this story for once?
I didn't like when she went to go apologize to them and she was there in her nightgown, and I was like, whoa.
She's getting it on. She's getting it in.
Julia didn't have anything to say about it, and I was like, I have words.
I have opinions.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I just felt bad for her the whole time.
Yeah, I thought it was cute that she finally gave Casey a sign name. But, I was also really interested in all that stuff about, because, okay, I'm going to school to be an interpreter. So, Casey's job is what my goal in life is. Mm-hmm. I want to work in a school with students or a student, whatever. So, watching her was really interesting, and, listening to Julia's, complaints. She mentions the fact that that Casey has, bright pink nail polish, and that's, a no-no in interpreting. Because it's distracting.
Yeah.
And there was one other thing, I don't remember which. Oh, there was one time where Casey started arguing with, or being involved in whatever the class discussion was without actually interpreting, and Julia had to remind her to interpret. And I was like, that's annoying. And she mentions that Casey is discussing her work ethic at school with the parents because they're friends or they know each other or something. Mm-hmm. And that's a big no-no. So there were things about Casey that I was like, this is the examples of what not to be.
Yeah.
So I found that really fascinating.
She is a tiny bit unprofessional for some parts.
A tiny bit.
Yeah, the first thing we hear about her is that she has bright pink nail polish, but she's not supposed to, and I'm like, really?
Yeah, from off the bat,
yeah.
She never has had a professional. She's fresh out of finishing the degree, so to a certain extent, it makes sense because you don't know. Sometimes that etiquette and stuff isn't actually training. It's knowing the profession once you're in it. Mm-hmm. You know. And so, I don't know. It was fascinating to me. That, honestly, I wish we could have watched some from Casey's perspective because I was interested in the, interpreting part of it.
Casey's part of it?
Yeah. Not that was actually relevant to the story.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's time to talk about YP and like the actual twist of the plot.
Oh yeah. I'll let you guys go first.
Okay, Wolfie, who did you think it was? Like, what was your guess?
I don't make guesses anymore. Every time I do, I'm proven wrong. So
you just didn't want to.
I just didn't want to bother.
Were you surprised?
I'm always surprised.
Okay, all right. What about you, Jess?
I honestly thought it was the art teacher, but I kept telling myself it couldn't be him because they kept saying, like, at one point in time, YP says, oh, it's him, and I'm like, but if she's saying it is, that's too obvious. Like, the story's telling you that's who it is. It has to be somebody else. I didn't see it being her, though, till almost the very end of the book. Mostly because I thought she was kind of dumb. But I really liked her, but I thought she was kind of dumb. I didn't see it at all that being something that she would be into.
Yeah, I think.
And what are the chances?
There was a moment. Okay, so for the most part, I did think it was the teacher too. I was like, oh, like, because there was like during the time frame when we were being led to believe that it was the boy at McDonald's. I was like, so it's the teacher because, and then he does the graffiti section, and I was like, oh, that.
And they see him at the mural that they do, taking pictures and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, that would be a twist because he's a teacher.
Yeah.
But then they started thinking it was him, and I was like, oh, so it's not him. Yeah. But I had no idea it was her until she knew something. What was it? She either knew something about the spray paint, or she knew something about the art class. I don't remember which happened first, but it was one of those things where you haven't found out that she was in the art class before yet, but you find out soon after that. And I was like, oh, so you're it. You're it.
Oh, it was when she was talking about, are you talking about when she says to wear a mask or whatever so that you don't get caught with paint up your nose, that kind of thing? Because doesn't she I kind of started to sort of think it was her when she was like, you have to do this thing, you have to do it, you have to do it. And I was like, why does she have such a vested interest in what Julia does if she's saying she doesn't want to do it?
And that felt, at first it felt out of character that she would be pushing her to do this graffiti thing because she felt like a goody two-shoes. So I was like, why are you trying to convince her to do this illegal act? That doesn't feel like your character. But
or with the fact that her room is all white, plain. That sounds like something that you would, when you get in trouble, they would take all, I kind of put two and two together then too, because they Julia talks about having all of her things taken away, all of her art stuff, and that would explain why Pete's room is completely plain and empty.
Yeah, I loved that she was the artist. I also love that piece of art that when she drew her. Oh my god, that was so cute. I loved her backstory too. That she had an eating disorder and then she lost all her friends.
Oh, and the douchebag. The boy.
We need to talk about him.
Who didn't end up actually being a douchebag.
I thought that was weird.
I thought he was cute. Eventually. Once you figure out he's not just an asshole.
Yeah, I guess that's part of it, is it felt like obviously her first impression was very wrong, which also she makes that impression of him that he's, the complete dickhead of the school or whatever very quickly. I was like, you just got here. How do you know anything?
Yeah.
Here's
Look,
that
singles are out.
So cute. I love this. I love her hair in it. How it covers her eyes.
I got her Uggs on too.
Yes. Somebody asked a question. Oh, when she knew the famous tagger, that's what it was. Kelly says Reed said, I guess when she knew who that famous tagger was, or something to do with tagging in general. When she knew the tagger, I was like, are you the person? And then I wasn't like sure on it, but I guessed it at that point. Like I was questioning, are you the person at that moment?
That's one of the reasons why I gave the book 3 stars was because they included Banksy. Like he's like renowned, crazy, like, so when they did that, I was like, that's so far-fetched. I was like, man, but I really like him, so I was like kind of torn between, does it lower the rating or does it raise the rating?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was cool. I don't know anything about graffiti, so like I
he does super political tags, like super political stuff. Yeah, or at least he used to. I don't know if he does it anymore, but so it was kind of cool to see him as like this like older guy that was just there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when she caught her on it, because she was like, that was Banksy, and she was like, what? And then that's when she was like, oh, you are the person. You knew who that is, and you knew that. Then she started putting together like the masks so you don't get paint up your nose and like all that stuff.
Speaking of, I was so nervous when they get caught by the cops.
Oh yeah,
that was very stressful for me. I was like, oh my god.
Because also like, how they treat her, like the way they treated her wasn't okay either. Like she's telling her like she's uncomfortable with the situation right now.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just going, and the cops are like, whatever. I feel like that'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah, and like it's also illegal for them to have like a friend interpret for you. Like they shouldn't have asked her to interpret for them. They have to legally like get an interpreter, a certified one.
Yeah, because YP doesn't really know that much.
Right. That was one thing I also was a little far-fetched on, was how fast YP learned sign. I was like, no, not possible.
Korean boy at McDonald's, whatever his name was.
I mean, his was more realistic because like he gets more and kissing confused. Like more kissing.
Oh yeah.
Understandably confused, yes. But like YP, like deaf people sign really fast. And I mean, not really fast. They sign at a normal speed. Think about how fast we speak. But like if you were learning another language and the native speakers are speaking at the speed that you normally speak at when you know the language, you're like, whoa, slow the heck down because I can't catch everything, right?
Yeah.
And Julia never mentions that she needs to slow down for YP.
Yeah.
So I'm like, catching all of that? Lies. Just straight up false.
Yeah, there's a couple of points in the book that felt a little bit far-fetched for me.
Mm-hmm. Somebody was asking if Yoga Pants' name ever gets mentioned, and I think it is mentioned once, and I'm trying to find it. But it's like really early.
I'll look for it. No idea. Because Donovan's the douchebag.
Yes, Donovan. His name is douchebag. I mean,
yeah.
Oh, Kyle Stokers. That's the ex-boyfriend. Okay, I got too early. Kyle fucking Stokers.
Yeah, I think it's just so rude that she just calls her
Yoga Pants.
Yoga Pants the whole time. She's even in her phone as Yoga Pants. It's just rude. See,
I mean, I do that to people. I'm like, I'm not Yoga Pants, but I put in my phone, like when I meet somebody from a class or something, I'm like, the girl from English 101.
Yeah, but then eventually when you learn their name, I hope you like change it.
I usually put their name. I still have it like this. Like, my friend, her name is Elisa, and I met her when we were taking Linguistics 123. And so her name still in my phone is Elisa Linguistics 123. But it's been like 4 years since we've taken that class together.
Oh, God. That's how I have people from work. Their names are like their name and then wings where I work. I'm like,
yep.
Their name now.
Yeah, I would do that with people from work too.
I think they literally only say it like once.
Yep. I'm pretty sure it's only once too. And it's like
really rubbed me the wrong way. I could try to look on Goodreads. Maybe somebody
what is her name? Yeah.
I'll check on Goodreads, but yeah, I found it really disrespectful that she like literally, and then YP is like, oh, I don't care, it's fine. And I'm like, no, let her call you by your real name.
Yep. Yeah, I have no idea. Sorry, Bionic Bookworm. Not a clue. It's if it is mentioned, it's something like boring, like Emily or Claire, like one of those very normal white girl names.
Yeah.
Okay, what else was there? Do you guys have any like big things that we haven't discussed that we need to discuss? Other than like Kyle Stoker's? I mean, we did discuss him a little bit. That whole detention section, that was interesting. I also really liked that part where she like writes, I'm deaf, and the teacher gets mad and says something like, oh yeah, sure. And she's like, no, I'm really deaf. And she like uses her voice to like prove.
Talk to him, yeah.
That she's deaf. So that made me upset that like the teacher, like you would think, I think it's like the principal or something. You would think the principal would know if there's only one deaf student in the whole entire school. Wouldn't you know who she was? Like to make sure that she's getting the accommodations she needs. Like,
right?
What?
You wouldn't just dump a kid in a non-accommodating school like that.
I mean, it's sad that does happen all the time.
Are calling her YP. I'm never gonna find it. Let's see.
Maybe she misses it. Because you know how they do the thing where, like, if she's missing words, they blanked it out, which was smart. I loved how she wrote that.
Yeah.
Maybe she missed the name. And then it's never mentioned. She just calls her YP.
I also liked that YP was plus size.
Yes. I loved that whole part. Like, it was, I mean, I honestly would be down for a spin-off of, like, her story because she was a cheerleader and she had an eating disorder and then she gets better and she, like, is a healthy and normal weight, even if she's, like, I mean, plus size, but still healthy and normal. And then she starts getting made fun of. And, like, can you imagine? I mean, I've never dealt with an eating disorder, but can you imagine the detriment that could do? Like, you had an eating disorder, and then you start getting made fun of after you get healthy. That would be rough, especially in high school.
I liked YP's dad, too.
Oh, my God. He baked?
Yeah.
It was my favorite thing. He's my favorite character. Let's be real. He was so cute.
According to reviews, her name is never mentioned in the book.
Okay, I'll believe it.
Yeah.
Her name is never said. She just calls her yoga pants
the whole time.
That's just, like, be a good friend.
I agree.
I feel like there's a part in the book where she does introduce herself, but it's missed because she's deaf.
Blocked out. Because when they first meet, she tries to, like, read her lips and can't, so she, like, blocked her name's just, like, blocked out as she's reading it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She gives her a sign name later. It's okay, right? It makes up for it.
Which is YP.
Mm-hmm. It's literally just YP. Yeah, see, I told you I didn't like that part about the book. I thought that was rude.
I did like Casey's sign name. It was a C and it was a heart. That's cute. And then his name was, it had something to do with art, but I don't remember what she did with it.
She drew it, didn't she?
Yeah, it's somewhere back here.
Remember it being like a hand Or it shows her showing him how she does it.
Yeah. It might just be this. Oh no, this is sorry. But where is his? I don't know. She draws it like it shows up like where it looks like it's drawn on a piece of paper.
Yeah. It looks like it was like a J or something. Pretty sure.
Yes, I love you. That's cute. I can't find it. Maybe it's described that one. Oh, it's plaid plus art. So it's like, does she do it this way? Like she like, this is art, but like, I don't remember how she does it. That's, sorry. But Kathleen, good job. Kathleen, come and join us so that you can tell us how to do it. Come show it.
She couldn't get it to work?
No, I think she said she might have been able to fix it, but she didn't want to like join us in the middle of the thing because it was only like 15 minutes ago that she got it to work.
Oh yeah.
Page 148. Thanks, Kathleen.
She gives him one really early on.
Oh, that's why I was looking at the end. And then Casey's all disappointed because she didn't get one.
This is it.
There we go. Plaid. And then that.
It's pretty. I like that they include stuff like this. I think it made the book a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. It's like this, Kathleen. Across from right to left and then down. That's plaid. And then art. But I don't know if like this is his sign name. That seems long for a sign name. Maybe she described it in there, like right before that or something.
I know she like surprises him with it.
Yeah, the whole book. Kathleen, just come in. She said she has so much to say but can't type fast enough. Just come join us. I'll send you the thing again.
She got it to work finally?
I hope so. Kathleen, I sent it to you. Oh, she still doesn't know how. All right, fine, I forgive you. Okay, so any last comments? I think that we will wrap up with any last thoughts, opinions, whatnot.
I definitely wish there was another point of view. Because Julia was so unlikable.
Yeah.
Either from YP, She Who Must Not Be Named, or the teacher, I think would be really cool.
Yeah. It could have even been like an anonymous, like you didn't know that it was YP, but it was the other artist.
Yeah.
Oh, that could have been cool. What about you, Wolfie? Any last minute thoughts, opinions, feelings?
Not really.
Okay.
Did you like it? Did you like the book?
Yes.
That's a good description. Yes-ish. Yeah. I thought it was cute. I mean, it's not that I didn't like it, but I think that there are better books out there. But at the same time, it's like, how many representation of deafness do we get in YA, let alone in anything?
True.
So, I mean, like, I'm glad this book exists for sure. And I thought it was well done in that respect. I can't say much. I can't say really anything on the Indian American representation. I spoke with Cav. Her name on YouTube is, their name on YouTube, sorry, is Reading Solace. And they were saying that that they thought that the Indian American representation was pretty good. I don't remember if Cav is Indian American or if she is Middle Eastern. I'm not sure. Off the top of my head, I don't want to like put words in their mouth. But they were saying that they thought it was pretty pretty good representation. So they didn't speak much to the deafness, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah. Kathleen asked before we leave, what about her tag here? Her art and her work is about her identity. It's how she communicates with the world. She refers to it as a conversation. The eye drawn in represents being seen, visible. The eye drawn in it, in here? I have never noticed the eye. Where is it? Where's that whale?
I feel like for somebody who wants to be noticed a lot, she spends a lot of time trying not to get noticed.
Seriously.
Like, tries not to make friends, tries to get her parents to leave her alone, like, wants the interpreter to leave her alone, but she, I don't know, she was, like, so backwards most of the time, it, like, didn't make sense to me.
I think the eye is with, these are the lashes, and then the O is the eye, right? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, it makes sense that Julia would feel invisible because she's, especially like once she's in a hearing school, but even before that, like in the general world, like deaf people are ignored, you know, a lot.
Yeah.
They don't get a say because they have a different language, and so no one chooses to communicate with them. Yes, okay. The eyelashes above it with the whole, so it makes sense. But, like, at the same time, you're right. Like, the way she actually goes through the world, she's like, no. She's very, like, like, she blocks everyone out. And even when she meets YP, like, YP really forces herself into her friendship. Like, Julia does not ask for that. Like, is annoyed by it half the time until later.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So, yeah, that's an interesting...
It's like every teenager who's like, leave me alone, but pay me attention. Like,
like, yeah, I mean, I guess all teenagers are kind of like that. They're like, I want to be heard because I'm a person and I know what I'm talking about. But then also they don't actually want to hear anybody else's thoughts or opinions.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like adults I know too, though, so it's okay.
True that. That is accurate. Okay. I think that this is going to be the end of the live show. May, we're reading Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. The live show will be on June 3rd, which is a Sunday, and I think it's at 3 p.m., but follow us on Twitter because all of the information is there and accurate, because I might not be sometimes. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this live show. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. You guys plug yourselves one more time for your YouTube channels.
I'm Jess over at Jess Reads Books.
I'm Wolfie at Slay Little Ravenclaw.
Yes. And yeah, go subscribe to those beautiful people. And we will see you guys later. Bye.